Hello. Thank you that I can welcome you. I'm happy that I'm able to welcome you to this, which is an esoteric lesson of the spiritual high school, like it was given by Rudolf Steiner, 1924. And it was given in German, and this is now in translation. And what we hear today is from the first class, a repetition lesson, and the repetition lesson number 6. And always, like always, I want to point out that this is an esoteric lesson. It is a guide to meditation and a work with mantrams which are given by the high school. That means these are given by Archangel Michael. And we can justifiably call it a divine service, a Christian Michaelic divine service. And therefore I ask you, as far as you consider it justified and take it seriously, to watch and listen to it in a concentrated and reverently way, to take care, being able to experience it as undisturbed and consciously as possible. So many heartfelt thanks for this. And I will start with some words from Rudolf Steiner. Out of the foundation stone, some also call it the foundation stone meditation, which has given Rudolf and was given by Rudolf Steiner in December 1923, at the 25th of December 1923, at something what we call a new creation of the anthroposophic society. And that means this is the foundation stone of a new way of spiritual society, of a society which will say yes to humanity and the future of humanity and a spiritual and a virtual development of human being. And so the last words now from the foundation stone. In the turn of time occurred the world spirit light into the earthly stream of being. Night darkness had ended its prevail. The brightest light streamed into human souls. Light that warms the poor shepherd hearts. Light that enlightens the wise king's heads. Divine light, Christ, Sun, warm our hearts, enlighten our heads, so that good will be what we through our hearts rise, what we through our heads purposefully want to lead. The repetition lesson 6 from the 17th of September 1924. My dear friends, sisters and brothers, once again I must say that the introduction about the character and the responsibility connected with the school cannot be repeated for the new arrivals each time. Therefore, I must request that those of you who are already here and have the mantras inform the new members concerning the contents of the introduction. Today, we will once again begin with the words which contain the fundamental exhortation to the human being, which resound to him from all the kingdoms of nature and from all the spiritual hierarchies. If he has the necessary sensibility to seek his own being, and also exhort him to recognize through his own being the world in its true spiritual nature. They resound from all that interweaves and lives in the earthly depths, in water and air, in warmth and light. From what lives in the mountains and springs, in rocks, in plants and animals, in the physical human form, in human souls, in human spirits, what lives in the residence of the stars, in the spiritual hierarchies, it resounds thus. O man, know yourself. So resounds the world word. You hear it, soul powerful. You feel it, spirit wasteness. Who speaks so word fastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space distant radiation? In your senses being experience? Does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? It is you yourself who, in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream. My dear sisters and brothers, the description of the spiritual path, which leads from the sunny, light-filled world in which we live on earth, appears on the other side of the yawning abyss of being, at first as a gloomy, night-cloaked darkness. The path which leads us to where we become aware that when we seek our own being in all that lives in the depth, flows in the air, all that creeps and flies, in all that our senses perceive, in the majestic glow of the stars, in the powerful depths of universe space, in the immeasurable distant flow of time, that all that does not contain our being, the true source of our humanity, that it becomes gloomy when we look here for our humanity. The description has led us thus far to show that we must find the way past the guardian of the threshold, who has told us so much about the meaning of the spiritual world, over to what is still night-cloaked, black gloom, so that it can become bright here, and in this brightness the light arise to illumine before the eyes of our soul, our own being, and therewith the being and essence and interweaving of the world. It must be clear to us that in the moment, and we have come so far in the description, when we have crossed over the abyss of being, past the guardian of threshold, in that moment an important change take place in the human being that is in ourself. Let us look, my dear sisters and brothers, at our human existence as it is between birth and death on earth. We grasp the world thinking, we grasp the world feeling, we act in the world by willing, but thinking, feeling and willing are interwoven in our human earthly existence. If we want to carry out something in the near future, we consider it first, though what we carry out is already present as a seed in our thoughts. We see it flowing out in impulses of will. We feel that it is worthy. We feel love flowing to this or that being because we feel it. We form a thought about it, or we go beyond that and carry out a deed of love towards the being. We let ourselves grow wings of love and are urged forward to willing, but all that thinking, feeling, willing is closely related to our humanity as it unfolds between birth and death in the physical world. We are at one in thinking, feeling and willing, and the truth is that we are only really awake in our thoughts. They are bright and clear. Also, the guardian of the threshold had revealed them to be illusory. They are bright and clear, and we are awake in them. Our feeling is darker and less clear. We are closer to existence in feeling, but the content of what we feel is like a dream, so that we can only speak of dream feeling, even when awakened. The will, however, as it emerges from our being, remains at first completely unclear to our normal consciousness. We have the thought that we want this or that. The thought appears, grasps the organism acts, carries out the thought. We see that we have carried out, again with thought, but the will itself rests in deep sleep, as do the things in our soul rest between falling asleep and awakening. But the initiate sees the thoughts in their living state, which they were in before the human being had descended from the supersensible world to the sensory one. He sees radiant being in the thoughts, but this radiant being he sees is not the illusion of thoughts, as in ordinary thinking. We stand beside the guardian of the threshold. The abyss of being is there. Before us, beyond the abyss, beyond the threshold, is the black, night-cloaked gloom but from out of the darkness gleaming, living shapes are moving. We say to ourselves, because we sense that the kind of thoughts we had as physical person have abandoned us, we say to ourselves, there is our flowing, living thinking. It doesn't belong to us now, it belongs to the world. Light on light, thought extracts itself from the black gloom. We know that thought, all our thinking, is there as the first brightness within the black gloom that we are approaching. And then we see something further down. We have the feeling. And the guardian of the threshold points to it with an admonishing gesture. We see how the darkness below is becoming fire-like. Fire, dark fire, yes, but fire that we can sense physically spreads out below us. What we recognize as our willing comes towards us over the abyss of being. The initiate gradually learns the following. What happens when thinking merges with willing? The thought of what is wanted is grasped. Then this thought merges with corporality as beneficent fire. What brings the will to existence is warmth, which is fire, when our own will meets us from out of the darkness. And between this warmth, from which our willing stream toward us across the abyss of being, for our human will is a mere reflection of our cosmic will, between this warm, dark outstreaming from below, which has at most a whiff of bluish violet, and the bright lights of thoughts above. Between both there is an interweaving, flowing, warmth rising, light descending, light enveloped, warmth rising, warmth enveloped, light streaming down. That is our feeling. It is a powerful picture which the guardian of the threshold draws. And now we know that when we cross over from the sensory world, from the world of physical reality in which we are between birth and death, into the world of spirit, then we will be in thinking, feeling and willing no longer the unity that we are here. There we are three. In the universe we are three. Our thinking merges with the light across the threshold. Our will becomes fire. Our feeling becomes light enveloped fire. We must have the courage to expand and intensify the self, the I, so that it holds the three together when we cross over. We can do this once we are permitted with what could otherwise be a banality, that our head is the source of all our sense and thinking. All our sense and thoughts are distributed over the whole body, but what is especially expressed in our head is that in its roundness, with an opening below, it imitates the shape of the universe. If we can say to ourselves in all seriousness and inner ardency, my head is inwardly and outwardly an imitation of the world's shape, we feel then in that we want to view the head from within, how this perspective expands to include the universe, which is only concentrated in our head for our earthly vision. We should then intensely feel how our heart, the physical expression of our soul, does not only beat because of what is in our body, because of what is enclosed within the skin. We breathe in the air, which is the impetus of the heartbeat. We breathe it out again. The world in all its grandeur and majesty participates in our heartbeat. What is sensed in our heart is not merely what is within us. It is a universal pulse beat. If we consider how our limbs work through willing, it gives us the strength to not only will what is within us. Consider for a moment how the forces of heredity are in us when we are born, how the forces of karma, which we have acquired through many earthly lives, live life in our willing. Let us think of all that and feel. When we will, world force lives in our limbs, not merely human force. Just think, my dear sisters and brothers, while still here at the guardian of the threshold's side, he points over to the brightly lit, universally living and acting thoughts, to what wells up as warmth, light-bringing, light-filled, to what spiritually wafts over us from below like warm wind. The universe fire, which is the ur-force of the will. So we hear resounding what the guardian of the threshold has to say to us in this situation. Oh, look, the three, thinking, feeling, willing. Man is split in three. Oh, look, the three, they are the one. When you are the human shape in the earthly existence sphere. Experience the head's world shape. The guardian makes this sign so that we stop and feel the head's cosmic form in this closed upward pointing triangle. Let us concentrate on this. Feel the heart's world's beat. The guardian makes this sign. For us to feel in this sign the wave-like pulse of the universe which crosses in the heart. Think the limbs, world, force. the guardian of the threshold, makes the other sign. We should concentrate on this sign in order to sense the mantric force of this sign and of the whole verse. Then the guardian of the threshold strengthens it again. They are the three which as the one in earth's existence live. This is the verse by which the guardian announces how we are to prepare through forceful courage, through ardent striving for knowledge, to sense the wings which carry us over from the one to the three. In the physical world we are the one. In the spiritual world we are the three, which we experience in imaginative pictures. It is written on a blackboard. The guardian reminds us, oh, look, the three, they are the one. When you are in the human shape, in the earthly existence sphere. And alongside the first sign on the blackboard is written, experience the head's world shape. The cosmic shape can be experienced in the head. And alongside the second sign is written, feel the heart's world's beat. The cosmic beat can be sensed in the heart. And alongside the third sign is written, think the limb's world's force. The cosmic force can be considered in the movement of the limbs. And the escalation in this mantra is from experience to feel. And the third, think. From shape to beat to force. The three line must be strengthened by concentrating on these figures. They are the three which at the one in earthly existence live. My dear friends, when we are standing here in earthly existence, and we are still doing so, we are just preparing to cross the spiritual world. We ascribe to our head, our spirit, in that it contains thoughts. At first, through this spirit is only apparent. The thoughts are the appearance of the spirit. We ascribe the thoughts to our head. That is, we ascribe the spirit to our head, because the spirit lives in the form of thoughts during earthly existence. But we can do something else, recalling the guardian of threshold admonition. In this situation, as we are preparing to cross over the abyss of being, we must endeavor to concentrate on the force we normally use when we move a limb, when we walk or stand, when our will pervades us. We must endeavor to concentrate to the extent that we will each thought as though it were being pushed out. We must sense the thought being pushed out as when we stretch out an arm. Thus reality passes through the will into the thoughts, then the things perceived by our sense, whereas they came to us previously as the appearance of color or tone, now stream toward us from the multifaceted sensory appearance as cosmic will. My dear sisters and brothers, learn to extend your thoughts out to the world as you learn to stretch out your hands through willing. Just as the objects of the world respond when you extend your will to them, offering resistance, so do the spirit offer resistance when you extend your thoughts to them, in that we will permit them. If we do this, we are interweaving reality in wisdom. The guardian of the threshold admonishes us once again. The guardian's last admonition, the head's spirit, you can will it. Otherwise we only think it. Now we will it. And when we do so, willing becomes something different. And willing, the willing of thoughts, will become for you the senses manifold heavens weave. You weave in wisdom. The next thing the guardian of the threshold points to is the heart, in which the rhythms of our humanity is concentrated. We cannot bring anything except feeling into the heart, that is, feeling here in the sensory world between birth and death. But we must also bring the feelings to the heart when we are in the spiritual world. If we could feel the heart as if the world were feeling our heart, because we are, after all, in the world, then our feeling would be different, just as willing becomes the senses multiforming heaven weave. So feeling becomes something which must be conceived of in a way that we can say, look, thinking, the spirit's head, becomes the will. Feeling remains feeling, but rays out to thinking on one side and willing on the other. It is both at the same time. Therefore, at this point, we must get used to concentrating on a line in which we interweave that rays upward and downward. This line must read as follows: and feeling becomes your will's thinking. Your thinking's will, the awakening seed of cosmic life. Then you live in the glow. This is not a dying away glow, it is the world's revelation in beauty, which can also be called glow in the sense of gloria. The glow, the seam appearance, here means glory. This guardian's second admonition is: the heart's soul, you can feel it. You and feeling will become for you the thinking's will, the will's thinking. germinal, waking worlds live. You live in the same appearance. This second verse is written on a blackboard and hearts and feeling are underlined. The heart's soul, you can feel it, and feeling will become for you the thinking's will, the will's thinking, germinal, waking world's life. You live in the same appearance. You must, my dear sisters and brothers, by practicing this, try to think that the will's thinking, the thinking's will, flow together in one, because it is so in the world. The third thing to which the guardian of the threshold points in the force of our limbs, the guardian of the threshold demands that our spirit wills our limbs, that we do not feel that what we do is the result of exerting our own force, but that we observe it as if we stepped out of our bodies and were standing beside ourselves. Then the will's thinking becomes the thinking which we unfold here. The will's goal-oriented human striving. And now we recognize the virtue of human diligence, what human will can accomplish in the world's evolution. The guardian of the threshold admonishes us. The limb's strength, you can think it, and thinking will become for you the will's dogged grasping human striving. You strive in virtue. The escalation here is weave, life, strive. And the other escalation is wisdom, seem, virtue. Now I will read the lines as they appear to us at first, when the guardian speaks them to us. The head spirit, you can will it, and willing will become for you the senses manifold heavens weave. You weave in wisdoms. The heart soul, you can feel it, and feeling will become for you the thinking's will, the will's thinking, germinal waking world's life. You live in the same appearance, the will's thinking, the limb's strength, you can think it, and thinking will become for you the will's dogged grasping human striving. You strive in virtue. That is the guardian of the threshold last admonition. That is a decisive point which is indicated by the words which are spoken here as the words Michael himself speaks, because this esoteric school has been founded and it's sustained by Michael and his force and power. Now we have come to the important point in our instruction, where if we have conscientiously practiced all that we have learned, it gives us wings to fly over the yawning deep abyss of being. Everything which has been said in this mighty school shall again be accompanied by the sign and seal of Michael, for all has been given in such a way that while it resounds through the space of this school, Michael is present, which may be confirmed by his sign. And which may be confirmed by his seal, which he has impressed at the threefold Rosenkreuz verse. Ex Deo nascimur, in Christo morimur, per spiritum sanctum revivissimus. The seal makes us feel the first line in a gesture. The second line in a gesture and the third line in a gesture. As we know, the first gesture means I revere the Father. We feel this as we say ex Deo nascimur and confirm it by the gesture which is Michael's seal. The second gesture means I love the Son. We feel this while saying in Christo morimur, thus expressing the feeling through what lies in the Michael seal. The third gesture, I unite with the Spirit. It accompanies in feeling per spiritum sanctum revivissimus. It is the gesture which is Michael's seal upon the third part of the Rosenkreuz verse. Thus, Michael's sign and seal accompany the path onward which will be followed in this school for spiritual development. Ex Deo nascimur, in Christo morimur, per spiritum sanctum revivissimus. Then the moment comes when the guardian of the threshold decisive words resound as though coming from Michael, as though from the cosmic distances. After the guardian has said to how we are to prepare ourselves, and we feel this preparation to be necessary, then his words resound as though coming from Michael, as though coming from the cosmic distances. Come in. The gate is open. You will become a real human. We must create the feeling that we are not speaking ourselves, but that as we are speaking it becomes objective, that we hear it as if it is coming from the other side, and it will be written, "Come in, the gate is open, you will become a real human." In the following lessons, what resounds on the other side of the threshold will be described. But now let us again consider, for all real development always leads back to the starting point, how from all the beings of the world the challenge speaks to us about what we have learned from the guardian's mouth. O man, know yourself, so resounds the word. You hear it so powerful, you feel it spirit wasteness. Who speaks so word fastly? You who speak so felt heartily. Does it act through space distant radiation? In your senses being experience, does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream? Once more confirming all, confirming Michael's presence, the sign and seal of Michael. Ex Deo nascimur, in Christo morimur, per spiritum sanctum revivissimus. Thank you very much. And at the end I will say them words of truth from Rudolf Steiner. And nowadays we see really also on earth a fight between Ahriman and Michael, which is a fight about the future of humanity. It's a fight about our thinking, if we will become machine-like beings without freedom and without love. A fight which is being done with untruth, with corruption, with evil things no one can believe, and a fight where the right one, the light, the Christian humanity are working for the truth and the unity of the humans. So I want to say the words of truth, and after that I will repeat it in German. The weaving being of the light, it is shining from human being to human being to fill all the world with truth, the love's blessing. It warms the soul on the soul to bring about the blessedness of all worlds, and spirit heralds the marrying, the people blessing deeds with world purpose, and if can marrying the two, the human being who finds himself in the human being will shine spiritual light through the soul warmth. Des Lichtes webend Wesen, es erstrahlet von Mensch zu Mensch, zu füllen alle Welt mit Wahrheit, der Liebe Segen, er erwärmet die Seele an der Seele, zu wirken aller Welten Seligkeit und Geistesboten, sie vermählen des Menschen Segenswerke mit Weltenzielen, und wenn vermählen kann die beiden, der Mensch, der sich im Menschen findet, er strahlet Geisteslicht durch Seelenwärme. Thank you very much.